All right, everybody, and welcome to another Webinar Wednesday. I got my boy Randy with me today. How's it going, man?
Fantastic, man. I'm happy to be on here. I'm glad I get a shot to be on the webinar Wednesdays. I'm excited.
I know it's your first time, so you're just excited because you got to go to Top Golf today and hit some balls around and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, it wasn't the same, but I still got my fix, so I'm good.
no, it's all good. It's all good. So, one of the things we've learned in this business is you got to be able to do something where you can have some open conversations, be able to talk to some people, be able to network, and be able to do things like that. And one of our favorite things is to go to Top Golf and hang out. So,
Yeah.
and it's one of our favorite places to take buyers too. So when buyers are in town, they look around Indianapolis for the day, talk to us. We love to head out to Top Golf and hit some balls around and talk deals and talk Indiana properties and stuff like that. So it's all good.
It's good taking buyers there too, because you start talking about business, but then it kind of loosens up. The conversations loosen up a little bit, and honestly, it ends up you're just having like a night out with friends. So It's really cool.
Yeah. That's good. You and I are both competitive people, so we're both active people as well. So we like to be doing something as we're having conversations about real estate and talking about properties and all that stuff. So no, it's a good thing. So what we're going to do today, though, is we're going to talk about buyers. That's what we want to talk about. So buyers is kind of what we kind of titled this as. But honestly, it's just the last few weeks I've had Ronnie on here with me, and we've done a lot of stuff about talking to motivated sellers, how to handle some stuff on the acquisition side, but just as important is, that the disposition side and talking to buyers. That's one of the most important things you can do. And honestly, it's a step that needs to happen before you ever get a property under contract. So I know I've read courses, I've seen courses, I've taken courses that they kind of talk about the steps of wholesaling. They're always like, get a property under contract. Before you get a property under contract, you need to have somewhere to take it. You need to have buyers to go to, people on your list, whatever it is. So when you're ready to go with it, you have that property, you have that place those people to hand it off to, and those buyers to connect with, those investors that you want to work with and that need good property. So that's really what I'm going to talk about today. So Randy, I want to kind of turn it over to you. And Randy is he's our dispositions assistant. So he's our sales guy. He's the one that handles all of our properties that we're selling, whether we have it under contract, whether we own it, whether it's vacant, whether it's occupied, any of that stuff. He's handling all those things. So Randy, let's just kind of throw it over to you a little bit before we even get into this. And this is your first time being on the webinar here. So give me a little bit of your background first, just kind of a little brief synopsis of kind of what you were doing, how you got into real estate, and then a little bit of how you ended up hooking up with us, and then kind of what you do for us as well.
Yeah, man. So just real quick, I got into real estate back in 2013. I just left a roofing sales job. It's things there's no long life in roofing sales. You do it for a little bit, make some good money, and you leave. But when I did, I kind of didn't have a plan in place. So I was kind of talking to people on how to get into any type of business and start making some money pretty quick. And everyone started saying real estate, but a little bit of people were saying real estate wholesaling. I had no idea what that was. So I did a couple Googles, went to a couple seminars, learned what wholesaling was. And I actually got started by wholesaling on my own. And that was back in late 2013. And during that same year, over a few months, a couple of my real estate friends talked me into getting licensed. So I became licensed and then became a broker, and was kind of on the retail side for the next, I don't know, 7 years until, flash forward, I met up with you guys, and, you guys were looking for a new sales guy, dispositions guy, and I took your job, Brian. I had some big shoes to fill, but it turned out good, and I love what I'm doing now. Back into the wholesale side of things, it's a lot better than retail, man. It's just more fun. It's exciting. Lots and lots of transactions. It's very relational, and versus the retail side where you're kind of one and done with some clients. I could sell a house to the same person 5 times in a month. That could never happen before. So I definitely enjoy this side. I'm glad to be part of the team here.
Yeah, no. So doing an awesome job. And one of my favorite things when you came on the team, you said you wholesaled on your own and stuff like that. One of my favorite things about you is that you actually knew what wholesaling was before you started working for us. I came on board. I didn't even know what wholesaling was.
So. Different nowadays, but it's the same thing.
Yeah. So I didn't even know what it was. I was like, yeah, I just wanted something else to do. So it was good. But So let's jump in here a little bit to, we're talking about buyers today and just kind of talking about, we'll get into obviously building your buyers list and some of the conversations, how that goes and things. But what we kind of said is before you ever start wholesaling, before you ever try to get that deal under contract, you need to start working on your buyers list. You need to be networking, you need to be talking to people and things like that. So Randy, what are some of your favorite ways to just connect with buyers and just reach out to them? And, whether it's just whether you get them on your list, we can talk about that later, but just what are the ways that you can just connect with them and reach out and just find buyers that are actively buying in whatever market you're wholesaling in?
Yeah. So the easiest thing to do nowadays, and I wish this happened 7 years ago, was, dude, there are so many Facebook groups right now, real estate wholesale related, that you can, if you publish a property for sale, buyers are going to say, hey, send me details. Those are buyers, man. You can instantly connect with them. You can add them on Facebook, send them a DM, or they're going to, attach their email address. But Facebook, either posting properties or just straight up asking, hey, who are the cash buyers in Indianapolis right now? I've got single families, duplexes, and your inbox will fill up overnight of buyers. It's so easy nowadays to find buyers. If someone comes up to me now and says, I don't have any buyers on my buyers list, then they're just not trying, because it's literally that easy. So that'd be my number one right now. Number two, going to different meetups around the city and different RIAs that are going on, because you're going to have builders there, you're going to have flippers and buy and hold investors, all the above. And then you can also kind of get some FaceTime. I think FaceTime goes a long way. Shaking hands, well, social distancing, but like fist bumps goes a long way, just because people get to know you and they get to know your personality, and you can come off as a trustworthy person. Those are my top two. Those are the top two, the easiest ways to go right now. And then, you can get more creative. I'm licensed, so I can find cash buyers through the MLS from who's bought properties in certain areas at a time. You can post Facebook ads. You can call the We Buy Houses signs. I know some of those are typically wholesalers, but some cash buyers they still have people out doing that as well, so that you can kind of link up. JVing with other wholesalers to kind of get to know their buyers and their buyers list and how they operate is also a good way to do that. Honestly, you can go on and on. Those are probably the most common and the easiest, but that's what I would say straight off the bat.
Yeah, some really good tips there. And I want to come back to that whole like JV and our partner with somebody here in a little bit. But I know one of my favorite things to do is just while I'm out, I think it is really important, especially if you are not doing it virtually, if you're doing it somewhat locally, or you have boots on the ground in some way, by driving around, checking out the city, looking at things. But when you see a construction crew or see a house that is being flipped, stopping and talking to those people, because it's going to take up a big chunk of your day. It's a lot easier to scroll through Facebook and find things, but when you're out there looking, it's a lot more time consuming. But those are active buyers. Those are the people that they just bought a house in the last month because they're working on it right now. So that's another way to go about it too, just kind of finding the people out there, by driving around and finding people that are doing it and stopping and talking to them. Talk to their crew and basically like, hey, who owns this house? You mind if I, can I talk to your foreman? Can I talk to the general contractor? Any of those things. Those are all good connections. That's something else to take a look at. And something that you mentioned is, partnering with somebody that is, that's doing a lot of deals, that has a bigger buyers list than you. So there's no shame in that. That's a great way to do it. I know when you're starting off and maybe you're just starting out, you're getting connected, maybe your only buyers list is like 25 to 50 people, something like that. You don't know who's active. You don't know necessarily what their whole criteria is, those types of things. So team up with somebody that has an active buyers list, that is, actively, connected with buyers. They know what's going on. They have a pulse for it. But then also you can do that just so you can extend your buyers list, but also you kind of understand that process a little bit more. Say, hey, make sure I'm included on all your emails. Make sure I can see kind of what's happening.
Yeah.
Let me, is there anything I can do? Can I talk through it? Can I go on a walkthrough with you if you meet in with the buyer or, the buyers? Those types of things. You can do all that stuff. And maybe your slice of the pie is not as much as if you were sold out on your own, but you can knock out probably 2 or 3 or 4 of those a lot quicker than you might be able to do it on your own and stuff. So I know, Randy, we partner with some people all the time. We might JV with them, or, sometimes in our situation too, we might just buy it from them and sell it, again and stuff like that, and they get their cut. But all those ones that we are JV and are partnering with those people, just let's talk about that experience a little bit of just kind of how we maybe keep them in a loop, or it's a good learning experience for them as we take them through that process.
Yeah. So before I get into that, kind of on the same topic, um, JVing with someone can get really tricky, but it should be very easy. So I sold my first three on my own by JVing with an experienced wholesaler in Indy. And the key to doing that is hey, just split it 50-50. Everyone's you're 50-50 partners in that deal. I don't care if you spent so much time getting the property under contract with the seller and it took you days or weeks to finally get that contract. If you have someone willing to sell their house, but you don't have a buyer for it, but you can call us or someone else in the market that can sell that in a day, that's a 50-50 split. It should always be 50-50. Don't try to get greedy, 70-30. It's just you're already creating bad blood that way. It should always be 50-50. That's my philosophy. And that's what we do when someone, kind of comes to us. So when that comes up, we'll go ahead and we'll do one of two things. We will, take the property down ourselves and at their contract price and go ahead and split the profits 50-50 or whatever we sell it for. Or I believe sometimes that they'll still make a little bit of their assignment fee, maybe, I don't know, $1,000. I'm not sure what it is. But we'll end up taking the property down. We'll do our marketing, and I'll go ahead and start marketing to our buyers list to get that property sold. Throughout the process, they know it's being marketed because they've seen our email blasts go out, and usually either they're emailing me or I'll send out an email like a weekly check-in. Hey, this is what's going on. This is how many people are interested. No offers yet, or we've got a lot of offers. And once it gets under contract, they're notified through our email blast with the title company that title work's getting started. And then when we close, they're also emailed like, hey, this property just closed. And then we'll go ahead and our assistant will cut them their slice of the pie.
There we go. So yeah, definitely, it's definitely a great way to do it. And one of my favorite things to do it is not only just to extend your buyers list and find more people to work with and kind of build a relationship with somebody else that's, could be also kind of help mentor you through it as well. But you also get to see all the steps from somebody that does it multiple times of the process of the transactions of, hey, here's how we work with the title company. We're using our branding when we're working with the title company. We're being positive. We're doing all this stuff. We're checking in. We're doing all those things. We're not just dropping off. So you see all the parts of it. You're not just gaining, things from a buyer's list. But I think it's really important if you have, kind of that short buyer's list right now and you're having trouble helping or, need help, selling a property that you have in their contract or anything like that, don't hesitate in teaming up with somebody. So I know a couple of people have commented on here, like, yeah, this is like, I can attest to it. Like, that's right. Like we've helped people out with the people throughout the city here in Indianapolis. I know we do it all the time, and then other markets do that as well. So we're teamed up with some other people nationwide. Some of the masterminds are in, and it's something that I know if they're an experienced wholesaler or they're an experienced investor and they have a good heart about them, they're going to want a team. They're going to want to partner with you. They're going to want to help you out, number one. But everybody's looking for deals, so it's just another deal that they can do. So everybody's always up for that.
Yeah, and one thing too, like it's good if you want to go ahead and JV right off the bat, but it's really also important, like you got to try and sell that property yourself, because that's the only way you're going to learn through just straight experience on how to get a property and move it on your own.
Yeah,
maybe give it a week. I mean, put it in your head, I've got 1 week or 2 weeks to do this on my own. If not, I got to reach out to someone who's got a big buyer's list and help them move it for me, because if you don't learn how to move it yourself, you're always going to have that crutch to lean on, and you don't want to just always call every wholesaler, like, hey, move this for me because I can't. You're not going to learn that way, and you're not going to grow that way. So always try to move it yourself, get that experience, and just through that, you'll start adding to your buyer's list just organically. So it'll just all work out.
Yeah, definitely. Now let's talk about that a little bit. So we found a little bit of ways that you can, kind of find buyers and to get those people added to your list. Now let's talk about that buyer's list itself a little bit on kind of what are some things that when you're talking to buyers, you're having those conversations, whether it's, a first conversation or even like you're catching up with them or, touching base with them or anything like that. What's some of the information that you want to make sure from those buyers when it comes to, if I'm reaching out to you, Randy, I want to put you on my buyer's list. What are some things that I should be asking for with that?
Yeah. So if you're talking to someone for the first time, you're going to, just introduce yourself, say, hey, I'm Randy. I'm a wholesaler in Indianapolis. I'm getting properties all over the city. I'm not specific to one area. So, you can probably expect all different areas from me. What areas are you interested in? Tell me a little bit about your investment strategy. Are you looking to buy and hold? Are you looking to flip? Would love to hear more about that. And the information you kind of want to get from them is how many properties they're looking to purchase a year, what areas they're looking to purchase in. Are they a buy and hold investor? Are they someone who wants to flip homes, or do they want to do the BRRRR strategy? Do they want apartment buildings? What do they want, and what do they want to do with the properties? Is what you want to know. And budget wise, hey, are they open and are they kind of all around? As long as the numbers make sense. I hear that all the time. I'll look at a deal as long as the numbers make sense.
That's different so when they say everybody, what does that mean to them? Yeah.
Yeah. So when what's that mean to you? What do you mean when the numbers make sense? And then they will kind of spill what that means to them. Oh, well, I want to be so much into a deal because then I want to refinance all of that out or something along those lines. And then you want to know, if there's a price range that they're comfortable in, if they don't want anything with an ARV over 150, they kind of want to stay between 100 and 150, or if they want properties all the way up to 500,000. Just the basics, so you can kind of just get a little kind of breakdown under their name, so you can kind of match properties up as you come along. But just things like that. And then when you're following up with your buyers list, which honestly, once it gets to a certain point, you should probably touch base with your buyers every quarter and just say, hey, I haven't heard from you in a long time. Last time we spoke was 3 months ago, and you told me you're looking for flip properties in 46205. Is that still the case? I'm like, oh, no. I've been there, done that. I'm all the way on the other side of the city now. So you want to know that stuff, and then just update accordingly, but also makes you look professional and makes you look like you care. And you just want to keep that relationship there that, hey, I'm always out here looking for properties for you. I'm working for you. And that's the best way to nurture the buyer's list.
Yeah. So I know one of the things that I see a lot of wholesalers do this, and we do this, but it's something that I kind of want to talk about a little bit of, just like a lot of times that when people get added to a list, they're on an email blast or whatever it is. So they're getting every single property that person has. And some buyers will get discouraged by that. Like, why are you sending me this and things like that? Just be honest with them. Let them know of like, hey, just so you know, like when I'm going to put you on my list, you're going to get all my emails. But if there's something that I think you're great for, I'm going to connect you with a one-on-one or so. If there's, you don't have to text or email me back and say, hey, I don't want this property. Like, I know you might not want that property. Just let me know if you're interested and things like that. So let them know if they're going to get like a mass email or anything like that. But in saying that, a lot of buyers I know, me being one of them, like we have a little bit of an ego sometimes. It's different than talking to motivated sellers. So, and I saw somebody comment on there of like, it's a different game of, somebody commented like that they focused on acquisition. So they kind of suffered on their dispositions a little bit. And that happens. Like that's really common because it's really tough for somebody to be good at both things. That's a certain type of person, and they're rare out there. But it's completely different than talking to a motivated seller to talking to a buyer. So buyer is going to be a little bit more professional. They're going to be, like I said, they're going to have a little bit of an ego that you want to stroke every now and then. By sending them like properties, don't just let them see your email blast. Send them specific ones like, hey, I think this might be a good one for you. Is when I'm looking for properties for you, is this kind of what you're thinking about? Or I've even sometimes I've pulled just properties that I saw sell off the MLS and say, hey, I don't have a property for like this right now, but is this what we were talking about? Is this what you were thinking of? And that really went a long way when I was doing dispositions, because they were like, yep, that's exactly it. You find me something like that, I'll buy it tomorrow in this price range. And that really helped out. They really felt like I knew exactly what they were looking for, that I was connected with them. Mm-hmm. And that really helped out. And I always told people too, like, hey, like if I send you a property, don't hesitate. It's okay to say, Brian, that's not at all what I want. Like that's it. Because that helps me out rather than just like being passive about it. So let your buyers know, like, hey, just to be honest with you, let you know what they're looking for. And when Randy's talking about checking in with them every quarter. Like it's so important to make sure that their criteria hasn't changed. So that's all really good stuff. Randy, when you're, let's say what are some things maybe that, when you're meeting with, there's some different ways that you're communicating with a buyer. So sometimes it's by phone, by text, by email. When you're able to actually get them like in person, like how important is that to kind of get that FaceTime in with them if possible?
Dude, that goes so long, and I didn't realize it. Honestly, I didn't realize how important meeting face-to-face with buyers was and it's sad to say I've been with the company for a year and a half, probably 6 months ago. I learned, it was, oh, I have a phone conversation. That's probably good enough.
Yeah.
But sitting down face to face and just chatting about real estate, chatting about their goals, they will tell you so much more in person about them and about their business than they'll ever tell you on the phone, or maybe even through a Zoom meeting. I don't know. But I've always gotten the best conversations and feedback from face to face, and it's always led to deals. Especially, I guess the type of buyers you want to meet in person are the people who you first meet, so they can get to know you, and the people who have been on your buyers list and you have not been able to do a deal with them. Because that way we can sit down and you just hash it out. Like, hey, where are we missing the mark here? Let's look at the properties together. Or, tell me what you've been up to, because I see you've been buying 5 properties, but you haven't bought one from me yet. Like where am I missing the mark here? And they'll tell you everything. And then you'll get such a more clear idea of what they want after that face-to-face sit down. They'll probably like you a little bit better, and you'll like them a little bit better. And then at the end of the meeting, you're like, I like you so much, I don't even care if we don't do a deal. I just want to hang out with you again.
That's always the good situation where you just become friends within that moment.
Yes.
Yes.
I think that's happened every time I've met with a new buyer. I'm like, dude, I would hang out with you once a week just to, hang out.
Yeah. And that's what it really comes down to. On the acquisition side, they are very different on the acquisition side, where a lot of times, it starts being about the money. It ends up being about the rapport, the kind of how much you can help them, the problem solving piece of it. On the buying side, it's the same thing. You're a matchmaker. You want to match them with a property that they need. And to do that, they need to be able to like you a little bit. They need to be able to connect with you as well. Yeah. And getting some of those face-to-face times. And if you can't do it in person, over a beer, over a coffee or lunch or whatever it may be, at least do some Zoom stuff and things like that, or a phone call or FaceTime. That's all good stuff. But if you're able to get that face-to-face, if they're in town looking at properties, it's so very important. It goes a long way.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna bring this up a little bit, because this is one of my favorite comments. And Brett used to love to say this to me all the time when I was doing dispositions, about how property, does anybody really need a dispositions manager? Properties sell themselves, right? Like, is that how do you feel about that, Randy? I don't think I've ever said that to you, because I know how true that is not.
Nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah. So, but it's the whole thing of like, yeah, the property is going to sell itself. The property is going to sell itself if it's a good deal. That is very true. Yeah. But what the dispositions manager, what that person that's selling that property, what their job really is getting it for the right price, but getting it to the investor that really needs it and really wants it to make that connection. So I think that's so important. And Randy, so speaking that a little bit, how important is that, or how important just is your role specifically to kind of what we do within wholesaling?
Well, the important part is that if I don't sell a house, then no one makes any money. So, that the disposition manager, as good as your acquisitions are, that's, every investment, when you're either a wholesaler or you're an investor buyer, you make your money on the purchase. You got to buy right, and you got to buy at a great price to make the deal great. As a dispositions manager, on the flip side, though, you also have to competitively price your property so where it's still fair for an investor buyer to come in and still do their thing, but also for you to make your cut of the deal so you can keep running your business. I could drop the prices on everything and I would sell every property that we have, but we wouldn't make any money. But the investors would love me. They oh, you're a great dispo guy. I love you. So you got to find the fine line between, hey, this is the best price for an investor, hands down, and we can still move the property for what we need to make on our end and keep the lights on, pay the bills, grow as a company. That's the key right there. And then as far as like, a good deal is going to sell itself. Yeah. Most of the time, it's probably true if it's a killer deal, but, you're not going to, the way I think of my role is I have a duty to simple wholesaling to get the most money for this property, whatever way possible. I could sell the property to anyone who calls me on the first call. Hey, will you take whatever? If I have a property for $40,000, will you take 37? I probably can, but I know if I work hard enough, I can get the 40. So that's your job. Like, you could sell any property if you get offers, but you want to make sure you're doing the work to get the most money possible. And you'll know by the time you get enough offers, if everyone's at 38, you're still at 45, the property's probably worth 38.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And like you said, like there's, kind of coming back to that thing of like a good deal sells itself. That's very true. But when you come across that deal, that's when you better have like 7 offers, like 5 offers on it, 7 offers on it, whatever it may be, to be able to get that extra, 1,000, 2,000, possibly even. We put out a property 2 weeks ago that we put it out, and we ended up getting like 20 over listing for, and that's that doesn't happen all the time, because we price stuff competitively and where we think it should sell at. But sometimes you have a great property, and it's awesome to do deals like that. So
yeah, you can price a property however way you want, and it'll just fly off the shelf. But I just think as a good dispositions manager for anyone, their job, you hire them to push the limits on what I can sell this property for.
Yeah. So awesome. All right, Randy, we got about 4 minutes left here. I like to kind of keep these within a half hour and stuff. We got about 4 minutes left. I'm going to kind of throw a little reflection question at you here. So if you think about kind of that last year and a half that you've been doing sales, you've been working with buyers, you've been selling houses to them, what's something that kind of you wish you would have known a year and a half ago, or even, a year ago, compared to what you know now when it comes to working with buyers?
Man, that could be a lot of different answers.
All right, I probably could have given this to you ahead of time, but I like to put people on the spot every now and then.
No, that's fine, man. I think versus from a year ago or from when I first started to today, I would like to know. I guess I would have a better grasp on who's actively purchasing, and the only way to do that is just keep in touch with your buyers list more. So I guess to better answer that, what I was doing when I first started was probably not touching base with the buyers list as much as I should have, versus today where just randomly throughout the day, hey, if I think of a buyer, I haven't heard from them in a month or so, let me just call them or text them, see what's going on. I would never do that before, unless they saw a property they liked and they reached out to me. Mm-hmm. So it's just having your fingertip on who's actively buying and who's kind of on pause. That's going to go a long way, because you'll know where to, I guess, put your focus and efforts towards. So just not being so reactive, but being proactive as far as working the buyers list.
Yeah, no, that's so awesome, because the reality is that your buyers list can be as big as you need it to be, or as big as you want it to be. You can grow it to numerous numbers and have 5,000 buyer people on your buyers list and stuff like that. But if only 10 of them are buying, how valuable is that really? So,
and I get excited when we send an email blast. Someone emails me back and says, "Hey man, take me off your list." I'm like, "Thank you."
One less call I have to make. So that's good stuff. So awesome. All right. Well, we are out of time today for today's webinar Wednesday. So we were just talking about, buyers and kind of, how to work with them if you are that dispositions, trying to be able to sell that wholesale property, be able to get it under contract, to assign that contract, be able to sell it and stuff like that. Next week, Randy's going to join me again, and we're going to kind of get into a little bit more of the marketing, the numbers, kind of where you need to be, prices, things like that. So that's what we're going to tackle next week. So hopefully you can tune in with us again. With that, thank you so much for joining us. And this is a wrap for another Webinar Wednesday. Take care, guys.
See you guys.